Now, I'm not going to try to sit here and lie to you and act like I knew about the Teen Titans from the comic books. No, just like a lot of people, I found out about the Teen Titans through the cartoon, the first cartoon, not like Teen Titans Go or anything like that. And today, I'm covering my first Titans book. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Dora, and this is SEM Comics, where we continue our coverage of DC K.O. with Titans number 28. Our story starts off 1 week ago, where we have Cyborg speaking with the world. And he says, "People of Earth, I have an urgent message on behalf of the Justice League Unlimited. For those of you who know, I am Cyborg, a member of the Titans, and unfortunately, I bear terrible news. The world as we know it is coming to an end. There is no way to stop it. There is no way around it. It is something that we have to face head on, all of us. A great evil is coming, and it will change the earth, and humanity will not survive it. So to ensure our survival, the full evacuation of planet Earth is in progress." So like I said, he's broadcasting to the world. So we just don't see him in New York, but we also see him in Paris, France, in Tokyo, Japan, in Indonesia. And then we see the whole world in all the different languages as everybody says, or Cyborg says to the world, together. Well, then we cut to now, which is evacuation day. And we see our Titans are back at Titan Tower. They're happy to be back at Titan Tower. Unfortunately, not under these circumstances. As we see on the next page, the Titan Tower has been modified into a spaceship by Cyborg and Mr. Terrific. And it is a part of the whole evacuation process. Now, I haven't read the first 27 issues of Titan, but the way they're talking, they've been separated for a while. They're finally back together, but now they're bummed out because they have to separate again so that this whole evacuation thing kind of goes down by the hitch, or they know there's probably going to be some issues, but this is the best way for it to be successful. And Starfire has to be the first one to separate from the group because she is going to be the escort for Titan's Tower. So they get a group hug in, and then Starfire takes off. Now Beast Boy is being his usual jovial, optimistic, good teammate. But then Raven turns around with a tear in her eye and she's like, "I wish I could be like you, Beast Boy, and see all the positive. With me, I'm preparing for the worst." So now we cut to the Justice League Lunar Watchtower, where Arsenal and Donna Troy boom tube in, and they're greeted by John. Yes, Jonathan Kent, Superman. Now he's excited to help out the Titans because he always wanted to be a Titan. But that got taken away from him by a certain writer. I'm trying to think of his name. I think it's Brian Michael Bendis. Yeah, he aged him up and that dream went out the window. They also killed any possibility of having any more Super Sons, which was a great comic. Love the Super Sons. No more. Thanks, Brian. Now we see the other Titan Towers, the one in San Francisco and the one in New York, are joining the original Titan Tower, and they all have been modified to become spaceships. They all have been launched and are all being escorted by Starfire. And Don Troy's like, "That's some good news, John. Now, how many billions does that leave us?" And finally Arsenal's like, "Are you okay, Donna?" So she explains how she's worried about the message the Cyborg left, not the one that he addressed to the world, but the one that was directly just for the Titans. And he explains how he's in this tournament, the KO tournament, to find out who's going to become King Omega. And by the way, that's what KO stands for. And he's like, he wants to win the tournament, but he's also scared because he doesn't know once he becomes King Omega, or if he becomes King Omega, that's a really big if, what is going to turn him into. Like, what kind of monster do you have to be to take on and beat Darkseid? And once you beat Darkseid, what are you now? So then Roy just kind of reassures her that, hey, we're in this together. Like, even though he's over there, we're still a team. And he's doing it for the betterment of all of us. And Donna's like, wow, kind of really didn't expect that kind of speech from you, but I'm glad you did. And they kiss, because I guess Don and Troy and Roy got a thing going on. Now, if you guys say, oh, they always had a thing going on, fine. Like I said, I don't read Titans. I didn't read the Teen Titans either. So it's probably been going on for like 20 some years, and I don't know anything about it. So then we cut to New York City, where Raven is meeting with Bumblebee, and they're going over all the different ways that they plan to try to evacuate the billions and billions of people that are on this planet. They're going to be using boom tubes, zeta beam transporters, spaceships, interdimensional portals, mixed-stick transporters, and they're still going to need more. A hell of a lot more. But Raven's also there to check on somebody. And Bumblebee's like, oh, she's right over there. She's asleep. And we see that it's Terra. Now, the editor note says that Terra has been recovering ever since being backstabbed by Deathstroke. Again. Like, how do you fall for that twice? So then Bumblebee's like, okay, that brings up a good point. How about the other villains? Like in Arkham and Blackgate and Bellreeve. Like, how you guys going to transport them? And Raven's like, we're going to keep them secured, especially Terra over here. So then Bumblebee is explaining something else, and all of a sudden Raven's zoning out, and we see that Raven is talking to Terra, because she's like, I know you're not asleep, so quit pretending like you are. So the Raven dives into her mind and is like, I know you've been listening, so what do you want? And then Terra tries to throw a cheap shot at Raven and is like, so how's it feel to know that whenever Gar comes around, he thinks about me before he thinks about you? And the Raven's like, I know you're trying to provoke me, I know you're trying to anger me, but it's not going to work. So then Terra's like, you can't blame a girl for trying. So then she's like, what's this I hear about an evacuation? And the Raven's like, you know what? Goodbye, Terra. See you later. And then Terra just looks there and goes, So now we cut back to the Lunar Watchtower, and John's like, so far we have fully evacuated 34% of the world's population. And then Arsenal is like, that's 2 3/4 billion people. Not bad. And then Darren's like, not bad, but not good enough, and we need to speed things up. And then John's like, we're trying. So John explains how they are moving 40 million an hour through the various different evacuation stations. Now he also explains how that number is just going to increase because a dozen more boom tubes just went online. We even see Mercy, who is the assistant to Lex Luthor, who is officially a certified supervillain again. Even keeping up with Superman, you know what I'm talking about. She is even helping out with the evacuation process. But then Donna, being Donna, looks at all the red dots, and those are the problem areas. So then John's like, there's less than half a dozen of those. And Donna Troy is like, that's a half dozen too many. And sure enough, one of those problem areas become a problem. You have protesters at some of these sites, and these people don't believe what's going on, and they remind me of a certain political party, but we're not going to say a word. We're just going to keep this in the comic book universe. Anyway, there's more than just a few of them, and they're starting to keep the people who actually want to leave the planet and be safe. They're keeping them from going through the portal. So Beast Boy is told that he needs to do something, so he turns to a bear and he's about to do something. And then Donna's like, you can't do that. Like, you can't hurt these people. And Beast Boy is like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? All of a sudden, he turns around and all the protesters are knocked out, sleeping. Why? Because of Beast Girl. Now, Beast Girl is a fairly new character. She came about in the last year or two. And how did she knock all these people out? Pheromones. Like, she used pheromones to knock everybody out, but also takes a toll on her, so Beast Boy has to catch her and help her so that she doesn't just pass out right there. So that problem was averted, and Donna Troy is actually starting to feel a little bit optimistic. And then she gets a call from Starfire, and she can't understand her because there's too much static. But then we cut to Starfire, and she is being confronted by Granny Goodness, her Furies, and a whole bunch of air demons. And Starfire is like, I need backup because we are under attack.